And so who's here?
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I can share my screen and show the plan.
Okay. And I see Timothy Power is here. Can you just state your name and affiliation for the record, please?
Sure. My name is Tim Power, a professional civil engineer for PVI Site Design, representing the owner, North Main Street LLC, care of Ahern Construction Management.
Great. Thank you. Go ahead.
And Tim, I thought I'd just start with the locust and remind the board too that we already reviewed a well plan for this site. This is like the next step.
Yes. So just to back up, we had done a preliminary hearing requesting a variance for a well to be closer than 100 feet to the wetlands. We want to put it just a little bit beyond 50 feet. And a couple items that came up at the last hearing were where are the abutting leach fields in relation to this well? And at the same time, we now have this this new septic system proposed for a proposed house in the back, to which we've also located the existing wells for the two houses that are abutting this property to the east. So hoping tonight that we can both, one, get an approval for the variance so that the well can proceed, and then also obviously talk about the septic system at the same time.
You know, I think I might have pulled the wrong one up. Are we doing the septic system in the back or the front?
So the back is all new construction, and in the
Oh.
front will be a repair.
All right, sorry about that. Then I pulled the wrong one up. I'll find it.
And while Pam's pulling it, so this is you can see where this is, just on North Main Street, just a little bit past the country club, almost across from the entrance to the train station.
Okay, sorry about
Isn't
that.
so the well approval is not on the agenda for tonight though. So is that a problem, Pam?
Well, the well, you guys approved it. It was just contingent upon the Conservation Commission approval. And I don't think you've been before Conservation, have you, Tim?
No, we got we were supposed to be on at the last hearing, and there was a mix up with the public notice. So now it'll be this Thursday. So
But this was the one that we basically needed the information on the neighboring leach fields before we would review it, right? So we didn't approve it contingent on Concom.
All right, sorry about that. Do you have the plan in front of you, Tim? I could just have you share. I'm sorry about this.
Yep.
All right. I apologize. Hang on one sec.
Okay. So this is the house in the back. I'm going to take a step back. Can you see this plan with both houses?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
So this is just both lots here. North Main Street's at the bottom. Driveway easement will be across the first lot to get to the house in the back. The first lot to be renovated, and the new system in the front there. Just so you have your bearings. And the well is behind this house, the shared house. So you can see that there. They're just circled. Oops. So just a little zoomed in plan. A lot of this will be in fill because of the depth of groundwater. So we'll be filling up. I have to go to my section. It's not entirely in fill. I think about 2 feet of fill above existing soil to get the separation from groundwater. So it is technically then a mounded system. We're proposing just to do a traditional bed because of that. I always find it difficult to construct trenches in a fill situation, because you have to fill it all the way up and then dig it back out. So it's easy just to bring in the sand and have the pipes on top of that. And then it'll be mounted up. Part of the benefit of that, sort of the final aesthetic of the whole thing, is that the house can also be raised to accommodate a basement. So really, it won't look mounted at the end of the day. It'll just be the entire front yard is brought up to accommodate both the septic system and then the house.
Okay. Are there any variances required or any kind of upgrades of any kind? Is there?
Nope. Not that I saw in my review. We looked at obviously both Title V and then the Cohasset regulations. So we tried to comply. We're away from the proposed well meets the title of the septic system setbacks and the existing wells as well. So this right at the moment, this is just I'll call it by right, but one of the processes to have for new systems is to come before the board.
Got it. Okay.
All right, that's the Cohasset regs, is to have any new construction go before the board for review and approval.
Okay.
I'll also add quickly that we had done a notice of intent and received an order for conditions for this project before the well was part of the project, and that order of conditions contemplated these septic systems. So the Conservation Commission has seen this and has approved this in regards to the septic plan.
Got it. Okay. Sounds great. Robin, do you have any questions or comments?
No, seems fair. Seems straightforward.
I love it.
I'll move that we approve the septic plan for 502 North Main Street, Lot 2, new septic design system.
Great. Thank you. I will second that motion. All in favor, say aye. I vote aye. Aye. The motion carries 2-0. Okay.
All right, Tim, since you're on a roll, do you have the well plan in front of you too? The most recent revised one?
I do. I believe that's this one that I marked up. Really, all we did was locate the neighboring septic fields on this. Oops. Which I'll draw big circles. There's one here and there's one here. The two houses, there's a house up front. There's actually a house in back. The house in back has an easement for their leach fields to be on the front parcel. So it's sort of from what I understood from the records, it's actually two separate systems, but they're sort of together on the same lot through easements.
And that looks like what does that say? 147? What does that say in terms of the distance from the? Oh, look at that. 167.
Yep.
Pretty good. Okay, great. And it's inside the buffer as well. It wasn't.
Yeah.
As I recall, last time it was outside the buffer.
It's right. It's sort of right on the line. So I don't have all the setbacks, but there's kind of a little wedge that's like this much space where this can fit, meeting all other required setbacks except for the distance to the wetlands. So that's why we sort of tucked it right there at the 50-foot buffer.
Okay, and is this a drinking water well or is this an irrigation well?
No, this would be drinking water.
Okay.
And so it would be obviously new modern construction, full depth, deep well, 100 feet-ish or more or less, not a shallow well.
Okay.
So Tim, the issue is that the board you're looking for a variance from the separation from wetlands. So the according to Cohasset regs, it's supposed to be 100 feet and it's what, 52 or something?
Call it almost 51. 50.9 is the dimension I've put
right
on that plan.
Isn't that a Concom decision?
Right. So I think we talked about last time about the board approving this contingent upon conservation approval. Because honestly, from a human health standpoint, this isn't really an issue so much.
Well, technically, the reason why you want to leave it farther away, and I don't have a problem with it, but it's the potential groundwater influence on the well itself. So if there was something in the wetland that was then being pumped into your well, you'd be more likely to get a pathogen there. So I think that's why you have the 100 foot and not the 50
Mhm.
foot.
Right.
But in the state regs, it's like you really have to have a minimum of 25. So 50 is kind of, it's okay.
Yep. Okay. Questions, Robin? Is that a no? Okay. Do you, I don't have any questions either. Anyone else?
And I think last time you guys asked about the possibility of connecting to town water,
Mhm.
as a contingency, and the answer was it was cost prohibitive. Is that right, Tim?
Yes, unfortunately, it was just a little too far away, and the requirements they needed were, almost well, I don't know what the house went for, but it was well over 6 digits to bring the water down and put in there. So
And it looks to me like no matter where you are in the lot, you're going to be either next to your septic tank, next to your septic system, or in a wetland. So this looks like a best possible, location for it. So I'm inclined to be in favor of it. So, Robin, would you like to make a motion?
I'll move that we approve the well construction contingent upon Conservation Commission approval.
Sounds great. I will second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 2-0. Thank you.
great. Thank you so much. I appreciate everyone's time.
Great. Good luck with the project.
Thanks.
Okay, we are almost at 6:45. So let's while we have 2 minutes, we can probably approve the minutes from the last meeting, October 26th. Robin, have you had a chance to review them?
I did. I move that we approve meeting minutes of October 26, 2021.
I will second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 2-0. The minutes from the last meeting are accepted. Okay. So let's set the next meeting date while we're here. Oh, we should probably wait until let's wait until Lynn is here so we can get her. Or we can wait 1 minute. Let's wait 1 minute and we'll cover the Treats Pond situation.
Yeah, Linda was thinking that she might be here more like at
Around 7. Right?
7 o'clock, like 15 minutes.
Okay, problem.
So this is one of the neighbors, Michael Saracen. We might as well introduce Michael while we're just waiting to hit 6:45.
Welcome. Thank you, sir.
Jason, this is Brian's PowerPoint, and please feel free to jump in, and because when it gets to the engineering stuff, I know you helped design this. I don't really know exactly what's going on.
All right, we're at 6:45 by my clock. So let's go ahead with the Treats Pond discussion.
Okay, so this is a PowerPoint presentation put together by Brian Joyce, the DPW director. So this is Treats Pond right here. So approximately 45 acres of watershed drains to Treat Pond, and 1 acre pond. The drainage flows overland to privately owned collection channels adjacent to Atlantic Avenue. Treat Pond then flows to Sandy Beach Cove this way via an 18-inch drainage pipe, which was installed around 1960. The end of the pipe is covered with approximately 6 feet of sand, which is the big problem that the DPW has to constantly go out there and dig it out. So the pond only drains when DPW digs out and uncovers the end of the on the beach. So this is a graph showing approximately how often they had to go out and dig it out. So it averages out to be about 30 times per year. So this is the beach right here. This is kind of the end of the pipe right here. I mean, this is where it all bubbles up right here and drains into Sandy Cove. So the history of the pond in the 17 and 1800s, Street Pond was a saltwater embayment of the Atlantic Ocean on the Cohasset coast. The salt industry would dam off the area to let the salt water dry and farm the salt. Narrative in Historical Society around 1836. And the installation of a wooden baffle dam and subsequent pipes to connect the area to the ocean ultimately led to beach accretion or buildup of sand. So, Jason, do you want to explain what this was supposed to be about? I guess it's just showing like the flow or the buildup of the sand.
Yeah, I believe that's just the increase in sand level over time
Okay,
there.
that makes sense.
Where's the outlet on that picture?
It's back this way, maybe?
I think, I want to say it's in that channel of above the 4.1, but up the beach to where it gets darker. Mike, you might.
Yeah, I think this is it. Oh, maybe you can't see my pointer.
I can't see your
So
pointer yet.
it's, just on the purple line, where the center yellow line is, that's approximately the location.
Oh, so back this way.
No, the other yellow line. This yellow line, right where the purple and the yellow line crosses the purple line, right there.
Okay.
That's the
That's the proposed new outfall location, but the existing is up. I might not even be able to show up on this plan,
No, the
actually.
existing is right where the cursor just was.
Yeah.
And the new outfall is going to be down. The
the
big rock
rock is-
there is called Big Rock. It's going to be to the, as you're looking at this, to the right of Big Rock, below the low tide mark.
Okay.
Jason, you want to explain this a little bit?
This was the original easement plan that never got officially registered with the registry. So we have an existing easement to go out and maintain the outfall itself. But the owner of the actual outfall location doesn't want that to be done in the future. So the point of this project is to eliminate that need to go on his property to dig out that end of the pipe.
Okay.
Because it happens 30 times a year.
Yeah, it is disruptive to an extent to his property. We have to go in through his driveway and through a little dirt road on his property to get out there.
Got it. Okay.
So this kind of shows your, overhead, the route that the new proposed solution would take. And there's that big rock that we were just talking about.
Okay.
So the benefits of extending the pipe would be, they wouldn't have to excavate the beach, eliminate regular flooding events, normal operation during a rain event, the pond overflows, the stop logs and discharges to Sandy Cove. It gives them flexibility. Stop logs will be used to set pond elevation and reduce suspended solids. A sluice gate valve may be used to stop flow beyond the stop log elevation. Head wall structure allows for flexibility and hydraulic control. 0% gate closed, no flow to 100% pond fully drained. Discharge end of pipe is flanged, allowing a variable configuration. The town has agreed to leave the valve closed during summer swimming season. Town has agreed to perform beach testing per Sandy Beach schedule. So in other words, we do 3 beaches each week during the summertime to test for bacteria. So that would be like a 4th location. So recent history, 2013 to 2016, pipe concept design development complete. Jason, did you work on that? Designing this?
That one, yes.
Okay.
That was before I worked here as an employee.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Town meeting appropriated $200,000. $185,000 remains for construction after engineering and permitting. 2016 to 2017, regulatory and environmental permitting complete. So they got went through MIPA, MESA, ACOE, Quest of Conservation to come still, and Mass DEP Chapter 91 to come. 2017 to 2020, legal easement negotiations and drafting, have 5 of 8 verbally, 2 tentative, 1 no holdout, Ralph Dormancer. So I know they've like switched the design up a little bit so that they've gotten everybody to sign off on this, all the different residents. So with upcoming expiration of permits, must renew or execute alternative, potentially refund is 6 years old. So in other words, they got these permits from Army Corps and the Mass DEP at one time, and you know, time's running out. They got to move now. That's one of the reasons why it's going to be an emergency. Plus the fact that it floods all the time is an emergency. So, whoops, I lost that. I also had some pictures I could show you guys.
So the idea from the Board of Health standpoint is, you know, if we're endorsing this or putting our support behind it, it's because there's a public health hazard because of the backup and the flooding and the mosquitoes that ensue, and what are there other concerns that have been raised besides those?
There's flooding of the 2 houses too, the basements of the 2 houses.
Right, so this is actually Michael's house. So this is just like a normal average day. There's this flooding over here. And then his house is, you know, a slab basically, and it's on a
It's
basement.
cinder blocks on sand. It's an
Right.
old beach house. And if sorry, Pam, but I just want to.
It's okay. So
so
this is what it looks like
here's the
underneath his
picture.
house. This
Right,
is
we
like the
have-
flood waters.
Constant standing water under the house. And there's a huge mold issue. There's a substantial issue of, I think, our safety. There is something though I wanted to mention on the public health issue. And this, fortunately, because it's an accreting beach, hasn't happened in many, many moons. The last time we had ocean flooding around our house was in Nemo, I think was 2015. And then we had, of course, the no-name storm and the blizzard of 78. When water comes over the beach front and floods from storms, the only way to get water off of Atlantic Ave and make Atlantic Ave passable is to drain via Sandy Cove. And so if that drain system is not working because of an accreting beach, you're basically closing down Atlantic Ave through traffic.
Right.
And fortunately, our problems have not been related to ocean flooding recently. It's been pond overflow, because so much more water flows into the pond than used to flow because of development in the surrounding area. And the water just has no place to go. So this was in fact installed, the current system was installed in 1965, the year after I moved into the neighborhood. And it functioned very well until 2000. It's failed for the past 20 years. But it's only been the past year that we've had constant standing water under our house. And that's why I would qualify it as an emergency. Because as Brian and Jason pointed out to the various parties interested, when they first designed the new drainage system, this pond will creep down Atlantic Ave. It was affecting the Dewey Houghton family, our neighbors, initially. Then it's crept into my yard, and eventually we'll go to Mike Russell's yard and on down the road as the water table increases and has no place to go.
Mhm.
So sorry, I didn't, that just gives a little color to this whole thing.
No, that's helpful.
fine.
Thank you for that.
And the other piece too is having it be a controlled use of the pond water. We can lower the pond level prior to a storm event. Like when we had the big storm last week, we could lower the pond by a foot before the storm, so there's enough capacity there to handle a rain event like we had during that last storm.
That's great. And so the draft letter that we see here, that we were provided, essentially is endorsing this, or requesting the Conservation Commission to issue an emergency certification to complete the work. and basically stating that this is of public health importance to not just to the neighbors actually. So this makes a lot of sense to me. What's the impact so that when you showed the expiration of those various approvals and such, this needs to be done before those expire, or is this emergency certification just give the town flexibility in terms of timing for the project?
Our goal would be to get this done this winter
Got
before
it.
any of those permits expire. Because, and I know the people, it's just money, but expiring permits mean we have to pay somebody to redo the permits and file all the stuff and so there is a cost to that process.
Well, I mean, to me, I'm actually more motivated by Mr. Skiri's comments about it being a imminent or
Oh yeah, that's
constant issue. So that's actually, yeah, so I'm in favor of this. And the language of the letter looks great, especially now that Pam just added that hyphen into 760 foot. That's actually really important. So Robin, do you have any questions?
I'm with you in favor of this.
Okay, terrific. So the only other question I have is that Pam is not here. So if we vote to approve this letter, does the letter come from me and Robin, or does it come from the board as a whole?
Well,
Because it's signed with the three of us. So does it just come from the board?
I mean, we could do it one of two ways. I mean, like I could sign for the board, or like Amy could format this and, put like lines above your names and stuff, and you could take turns signing it and scanning it back tomorrow. I think we've done that before.
We can definitely do that, which means that so what you're saying is we just sign it and we don't have to vote on it. I'm basically saying, do we vote on a letter and then ask Lynn to sign it, even though she wasn't here to vote because she's not here?
Or let Pam sign it for us.
I
Just have
think
it come
that's
from the
actually
chair.
or it could just come from me. Sure, that would be possible too. So actually, let's do that. I'm happy to sign for it, and then, but with the voting of the board behind it, if that's okay. So,
Okay.
Robin, could you make a motion to accept this draft letter dated November 16th to the Concom?
I move that we accept the draft letter dated November 16th to Concom regarding Treats Pond.
Terrific. I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 2-0. So Pam, if you want to, whenever you get around to finishing off the letter, just send it to me. I'll sign it and send it right back. We can get it done.
Okay. I'm in a conference tomorrow, so I'm going to send this to Amy, and then she can just make it from you, put a line above your name and stuff, and then send it off to you tomorrow and you can sign it. And
I mean, if the only thing you did was add that hyphen, I can make that edit and then sign it and send it back to you. Is that all? Have there been any changes since what you sent us before?
no, I would just
All right.
did that in real time. That's it.
I'll take care of
Yeah.
it then.
And it's not emergency. Like Brian's actually out on vacation this week. That's why I kind of half-assed his presentation. But
Is it-
when he comes back, he kind of wants to gather letters from like other groups and support and kind of have a package together. So this would be great.
Okay, I'll take care of this. Don't worry about it. Amy, I got it. I'll send this to Pam signed tomorrow and I'll copy the rest of the board.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Skiri.
you very much. I'm signing off. And Pam, thank you for having visited the property the other day.
You're
Much
welcome.
appreciated.
Hope it goes
Bye-bye.
through.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Other items that we will talk, how about, so Pam, would you like to do your public health director report? Anything you'd like to add after in addition to what you've sent us each week?
I set up another clinic. So that's going to be Monday, the 29th. I wasn't there Monday, yesterday. I was coming back from vacation, and Mary and Amy helped run it. And I guess it was a huge success. It completely filled up and everybody loved it. So that's why we're going to do another one on Monday, the 29th for our booster shots. Like I said, Cook Estate is the one thing that's going to be a hot topic. So Amy Questle is trying to review it. Actually, she's like struggling with computer problems, but it looks like she's going to have minor edits. So I think if we can just I don't know what your schedule is, Michael. Do you think you'd have any time on Friday to vote
Uh,
for that thing?
Friday evening or afternoon. Yeah, so I could probably do something in the afternoon or the evening.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, that would be
Um,
good. If you
that
want to
would
just
be-
give me a
we're gonna-
time or something.
Well, we need to call a meeting for that. Yeah.
We do, so we're gonna have to, that's why it's gonna be Friday, because we gotta get the agenda
Yeah.
out in 48 hours. So we'll have that on there, and I screwed up the whole well thing. I apologize to you guys. I thought you approved it ahead of time, contingent upon conservation, and Amy texted me and said, no, we didn't. It wasn't on the agenda.
No,
So
Robin
ju-
caught it. Robin, I remember Robin being like, wait a minute, it seems to me that we don't know
Yeah.
anything about those adjacent properties. So,
Right.
but
So
yeah, it's fine.
We'll stick that on the agenda again, and you guys can just revote really quickly. And
Okay.
I'll send you an email what to say. I apologize for that.
That's okay.
Just to repeat it.
We will take care of that. And so,
So what
I
are you
guess we
thinking,
can
like
set-
4 o'clock or 5 o'clock or?
well, so I could do even earlier. So Robin, are you available late afternoon on Friday? Pretty much. Like, how do you feel about 3 o'clock? Can't hear you. Sorry.
I should be around.
Okay, let's place it for 3 o'clock. We'll
Okay.
basically set that's our next meeting date. So the agenda item for the next meeting will be to finalize the Cook Estate and to set the next meeting date. That will be the agenda for the Friday the 19th at 3 p.m.
Perfect, thank you.
You got it. Oh, and the well approval.
And the well, and that'll be like a minute.
Yep.
Yeah, those are the big things I've been focusing, but there's like 1,000 little tiny things, but that's the big ticket items.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Mary?
So just a couple of things, as Pam mentioned, we had our clinic yesterday. We did 126 people. It completely filled up. I have scheduled 20 home visits for the fire department. They're going out on Thursday to vaccinate people that are homebound. So, and then we have more vaccine coming for the 29th. So we were kind of surprised at how well received this clinic was, because we really had no idea whether people were already going to CVS and Walgreens, but apparently they're not. They're waiting for us. So, so it's a good thing. I'm glad we're doing that. And then just the numbers, as you see each week, last week we were at 14. This week we'll be at 16. You saw the transmission is substantial in Norfolk County. It's high in Plymouth. So I know you're basing your mask decision on that, but I don't feel like we're out of the woods yet. Numbers are creeping up across the state. The latest thing from DPH is, first of all, the contact tracing collaborative is being disbanded. So after November 30th, you can't send them any cases. And going forward, what the state is advising us is that you make your initial call, your initial outreach to the person, you explain the guidance, isolation, quarantine, identify close contacts. That's it. You give them your callback information or your email. If they have questions, they can reach out to you. Give them their dates on your day 10 is whenever, and it that's it. The other thing they're saying is starting in January, we will focus more on like clusters and daycares, schools, long-term care facilities. So they're starting to change contact tracing a little bit. We're hoping to be moving towards an endemic phase as opposed to pandemic, but we're just not there yet. So that's kind of the latest with what's going on in the contact tracing world. And then
it seems like things are quite stable in the schools and the way things are going right now. Have you heard? I mean, haven't heard much from their.
Well, I talk to Kelly just about every day. The biggest thing with the schools we're finding is people are doing home test kits. If mom or dad are not feeling well, they buy a home test kit, they test positive. I never get that in the system, right? So parents are reporting that to the school nurses, who are now sharing the guidance with them, the isolation. So that's changing a little bit.
So they don't end up so they don't end up in the town statistics then.
No, they don't.
Interesting. Since there's no contact tracing as a result, we actually don't know if it's an in-school transmission either.
Well, the school nurses are pretty good about that. And if it is an in-school transmission, then any contacts that are identified, they're doing the test and stay program.
Mhm.
So,
Oh, right.
yeah, so they have one kid that they're doing the test and stay on this week. So yeah, it's getting watered down a little bit. It's not as tight as it was. So
My concern is that, we've been hanging our hat very much on the fact there have been no in-school transmissions because we had the data to back that up.
yeah,
And now, so it's great that nurses are doing that. And I wonder, can we as a Department of Public Health basically formalize that reporting from the school nurses? In other words, so we are actually keeping track as the town Department of Health? Or, because there's no official,
no,
it seems like we have a reporting gap that could be really important.
yeah. And that's what the state is telling us, that the home test kits are great, but it is kind of a game changer. So we could certainly get their data and, keep track of that. But that's just our schools, right? The rest of the community, we may not know about, but.
Yeah, that's true. But actually the part that I'm mostly concerned about is, the school committee, once they get to their vaccination numbers in the middle school, right, then they're going to write to DESE for the ability to go without masks for vaccinated students from then in the middle and high school. I would love to know actually if we do have cases being transmitted in the schools, even if it's data that is, it's not super tight contact traced data, it would be good to know that, that it's not all like sunshine and roses right now, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what we can do in terms of asking the schools to report that to the town or not.
Well, they're pretty good about reporting it, the school nurses. So I can start to make it more official though, like with the numbers. Yeah, I can get that data.
That would be really helpful, Mary. And I think it would be good to know, just, again, we basically in the public health orders gave the school department the ability to make the decision based on their practices and DESE guidance and such and like. But, they've been very good about inviting me to be part of the conversation on behalf of the Board of Health, just as the school committee is kicking around ideas about, loosening the mask mandate. And so just to have that additional bit of information that might be, it might not change anyone's minds or anything, but it'd be good to be fully informed if we can have it. So that would be great. Thanks,
Okay.
Mary.
Yep. So other than that, I think that's about it.
Great. What's the requirement? So I was looking to, for presently boosters are only available for those at risk in certain age groups. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's over 65 years. It's people who are immunocompromised, and then it's if you're in a high-risk job.
Got it.
Yeah.
And the state has a list of what those high-risk jobs are.
Not really. They don't really get into it too much. It's and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't change that soon to just open it up to everybody.
Yeah, it's not like the demand is banging the door down.
No.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to decide if being a college administrator is a high enough risk job.
Of course it is.
I kind of think it is too. And I know the state of Colorado is opened up to everybody, but they're not doing high risk or whatever. It's anybody who wants a booster, get a booster at this point. I think that's the way it's going to be.
Mhm.
Okay.
I wish they would just do that, make that decision. And
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people, including myself, that got one because I was going on a plane this past week. So it's not like they were really cracking down on it. And there's so much supply that that's not an issue anymore. You know, and originally it was like you would be selfish by getting a shot if you were taking it out of the arm of, you know, a senior citizen, but there's so much supply now.
Yeah, okay, that's good to know. I have to say, I was out at the been at the grocery store. I've been to Gordon's, not Gordon's, the wine store. I've been out and around. I'd say the mask wearing is probably 25% in the stores. I mean, we have the
So?
sign. It's pretty thin. So, you know, in a sense, Mary, I was just thinking about it from in terms of being like, oh, are we moving into an endemic phase? We might be, like, in the sense of we're not seeing a huge spike in cases, even though that we're in a, you know, the state's seeing a pretty big,
Mhm.
but the town is not, right? We're
No.
not seeing crazy numbers. So
No.
we're pretty stable. So, I mean, maybe it's the fact that what's the town number? We're approaching 90% vaccination of eligible people, right? So
Yeah, that should definitely have an effect, right?
I hope so. God, I hope so.
I know. Me too. Otherwise,
Well,
Yeah.
during our call today, Dr. Katie Brown said, you know, vaccination is our way out of this, you know, so. I mean, what she was saying too, which I found interesting, because somebody was saying, like, you know, when is this going to end? When is it just going to be accepted as being endemic? And she was saying, like, you know, you have all these waves, right? The surges of waves, but, you know, the amplitude just kind of keeps gradually decreasing and decreasing and decreasing. And so she's saying, I don't see the end yet, but, you know, she can see that trend. That's the way it's going, just like every other pandemic that they've ever had.
To me,
So-
it's not just the case amplitude, but the hospitalization and the mortality amplitude. That's the important
Right.
part from my standpoint, because
Yeah.
we're still, if we're just counting cases, it's still going to be big, I think.
Right. It
Just-
does seem like that's where, and I think she was saying they are starting to emphasize that more. I mean, wasn't she saying that today, Mary, about
Yeah, yeah,
hospitalization and
yeah,
yeah,
yep.
is really the key metric now at this point.
Great. All right. Fingers crossed.
Now I know.
Okay. We have run the agenda. Robin, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I had a question, Michael. I did see something from you indicating that towns' numbers seem to be tracking closely with the county. And it seems to me that Cohasset has more in common with Plymouth County, i.e. Hingham, Hull, and Norwell than it does with Dedham. So I think we ought to, if you, anything, you ought to look at how it tracks closely with those places, not the greater county of Norfolk, even though we are part of that political subdivision. That's my only
Yeah.
comment.
Yeah, that's a good point. Wasn't really comparing it to the counties. It's just that we use the county measures, Norfolk and Plymouth, plus the towns measures in numbers as a way to decide whether the order stays in effect. But that's a really good point, right? We're in a weird county, sort of sticking out there. So thanks for that. Okay. Robin, would you like to make a motion to adjourn? I will second that motion. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Meeting's adjourned, 7:15 PM. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thanks, you too.
Good night.
Good night.